So in this lecture, which is the major blood vessels of the heart and thorax, we'll try to understand the big large vessels, the arteries as well as the veins, which are beginning or ending in the heart, okay, which are present in the thorax. Okay, so the main objectives for this topic will be to identify the beginning, end, and tributaries of the superior vena cava. SVC means superior vena cava. Then also recognize the course of the IVC. IVC means inferior vena cava in the thoracic region. Okay, it's a very short part in the inferior vena cava because it is mainly present in the abdomen. So we'll try to just see that part which is in the thoracic region, which is a very small part. Then we'll try to understand the number of pulmonary veins and try to recognize their course. Okay. Also, we'll talk about the pulmonary arteries. Okay. Then finally, we'll try to understand the largest artery in the body, that is the aorta, and its parts and its some of its branches. So these are the topics we'll try to cover in this. So beginning with, we'll start with the superior vena cava, that is the SVC. So here in this picture, you can see this is the superior vena cava. So here is the heart, this is the right atrium here, right auricle, and here you can see this is the superior vena cava opening into the right atrium. Okay. So the superior vena cava, if you see, it is formed by the union of two brachiocephalic veins. If you see here, there are two brachiocephalic veins. Veins will be draining into the heart, so they will be going towards the heart. So their beginning will be away from the heart, and their termination will be near the heart. So the beginning of the superior vena cava is here. So it begins by joining of two main veins. These are called as the brachiocephalic vein, the right and the left brachiocephalic vein. So it is formed by the union of two brachiocephalic veins behind the lower border of the first right costal cartilage. So it is behind the formation of these two veins joining together to form the superior vena cava will be behind the first rib and the first right costal cartilage, close to the right margin of the sternum. So in the front will be the sternum, beside that will be the costal cartilage, then will be the first rib. So this formation of this beginning of the superior vena cava will be at the first right costal cartilage on the right side. Okay. So it descends vertically to pierce the pericardium. If you see here, it is going down. As soon as it begins, it vertically goes down and it pierces the pericardium. What is pericardium? It is the covering of the heart. Okay. So here the pericardium has been removed, but there will be a covering outside, which will be called as the pericardium. So the pericardium are our two types, fibrous as well as the serous. It is already covered, I hope so. So here just you can imagine that there will be a covering called as the pericardium. So this superior vena cava will be directly going downwards, piercing the pericardium, which is covering the heart. So it descends vertically to pierce the pericardium at the level of the second costal cartilage. So the beginning of this superior vena cava will be at the first costal cartilage, right side. Then it pierces the pericardium at the second costal cartilage. Immediately before piercing the pericardium, it is joined by the azygous vein. So before the superior vena cava pierces into the pericardium, there will be opening of the azygous vein. Azygous vein is the main vein which will be in the thoracic region. So in this picture, uh, azygous vein is not shown. Whether it is shown here? No. I think one. Okay. Entrance of the azygous vein. Okay, here it is shown. Okay. Entrance of the azygous vein. Okay. So before it pierces, so this is the beginning of this is the superior vena cava. So this is the beginning of the superior vena cava at the right costal, first right costal cartilage. Then it pierces the diaphragm at the second costal cartilage. Before it pierces, there is a large vein opening into the superior vena cava, that is the azygous vein. Then it descends downwards and ends at the third costal cartilage. So begins at the first costal cartilage, pierces the pericardium at the second costal cartilage, and ends at the third right costal cartilage. So it ends by opening into the upper part of the right atrium. So it opens into the right atrium. Okay. So all major veins will be opening into the right atrium, because right atrium is the receiving chamber of the heart where all the venous blood will come. So both the superior vena cava as well as even the inferior vena cava will be opening into the right atrium. Okay. So it ends by opening into the upper part of the right atrium behind the third right costal cartilage, close to the right margin of the sternum. So if you see here, this is the sternum here. So this is the right margin of the sternum. So this is the left margin of the sternum. This is the manibrum sterni. This is the body of the sternum. So at the right margin will be the presence of this superior vena cava. So here is the formation of the superior vena cava by joining of the two brachiocephalic veins at the first costal cartilage, then enters the pericardium at the second costal cartilage, and then ends by opening into the right atrium at the third costal cartilage. This is the third costal. This is the first costal cartilage, second costal cartilage, third costal cartilage. Rib will be beside that. Here is the first rib. Here will be the second rib. Here will be the third rib. Okay. So this is the course of this superior vena cava, beginning at the first costal cartilage, piercing the diaphragm at the second, and ending into the right atrium at the third costal cartilage. Now coming to the inferior vena cava, as I said, the inferior vena cava will be present in the abdomen. This is the inferior vena cava. Most of the major part of the inferior vena cava will be present in the abdomen. But here in this lecture, we are just dealing with that part of the inferior vena cava which is present in the thoracic region. So here, this is the inferior vena cava, very short part. As soon as it enters the thoracic region, it opens into the right atrium and ends there. So here you can see here, this is the superior vena cava. Here is the inferior vena cava. Okay, here will be the heart. Heart has been removed here. So if you see here, this is the azygous vein. This is the azygous vein. And here you can see the hemiazygous vein. On the left side, we have the hemiazygous as well as accessory hemiazygous vein. On the right side, we'll have the azygous vein. So this azygous vein is opening into the superior vena cava before piercing the pericardium. So this is the superior vena cava. This is the inferior vena cava. So the inferior vena cava, the main part of the inferior vena cava lies in the abdomen, as I said before. So it will be mainly in the abdomen, but the uppermost part, just half an inch, lies in the thoracic region. Very short part lies in the thoracic region. The inferior vena cava enters the thorax by piercing the central tendon of the diaphragm. If you see here, here is the diaphragm, which separates the thoracic region from the abdomen. So it pierces the diaphragm. The vena cava opening lies opposite the T8 level, the level at which this inferior vena cava will open into the thoracic region will be at the level of thoracic 8 vertebra. Okay, even though the thoracic region ends at the 12th thoracic vertebra, the dome of the diaphragm will be much more higher, and this piercing will be at the higher point of the diaphragm, that is at the T8 level. Okay, so this inferior vena cava will pierce into the diaphragm at T8 level and enters the thoracic region, and just a half an inch it will be present in the thoracic region. Then it opens into the again into the right atrium. Now going to the next vein, that is the pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins. There are four pulmonary veins, two right and two left, which carry the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Okay, even though they are called as veins, but they will be carrying, these are the only veins in the body which will carry the oxygenated blood, pure blood coming from the lungs to the heart. Okay, so if you see in this picture, so these are the, even though these are shown in red color, these are the pulmonary veins. So this is the right pulmonary vein, right superior and right inferior, and here this is the left superior and the left inferior pulmonary. There are four pulmonary veins, superior and inferior on the right side, superior and inferior on the right left side. So even though they are called as veins, but they are carrying the oxygenated blood from the lungs, okay, back into the left atrium. Okay, so that's why they are shown in the red color, even though they are called as veins. So these are the only veins in the body which will be carrying the oxygenated blood, okay, from the lungs to the heart. They begin as capillaries in the wall of the alveoli, which unite to form the venules, then large veins. So they begin in the capillaries in the alveoli. These alveoli will be present in the lung, where the actual exchange of gases will take place. Okay, so it will be carrying the oxygenated blood from the alveoli. So they begin as capillaries in the alveoli, which unite to form the small veins. Then these are called as venules, and then they join and rejoin with other smaller veins to form larger veins. The radicals of the pulmonary veins run into the connective tissue septa between the adjacent bronchopulmonary segments, that is in the intersegmental positions. If you see this you can appreciate better in case of the histology when you can see the intersegmental planes where you can see these smaller veins, these pulmonary veins, okay, within the bronchopulmonary segments. At the hilum of each lung, the superior pulmonary veins lies most anteriorly, while the inferior pulmonary veins lies more inferiorly. So if you see here, so this is talking about the right superior and the right inferior. Right superior will be more anterior and right inferior will be posterior to the, if you see here, this is the superior vena cava opening into the right atrium, and here is the inferior vena cava opening into the right atrium. Both superior and inferior vena cava have been shown, and this is the right atrium. This is the right ventricle. Here will be the left atrium, and here will be the left ventricle. Okay, so these pulmonary veins, superior and inferior, are going towards the left atrium. Similarly, the left also. So the right pulmonary veins are longer than the left. If you see here, because the heart is more on the left side, so these right pulmonary veins are longer. They have to go all the way up to the left atrium. But the left superior and inferior pulmonary veins are shorter, because as soon as they begin, they end in the left atrium. So the left atrium is more close to the left lung. So the right pulmonary veins, here they have mentioned that the right pulmonary veins are longer than the left. Okay. The right superior pulmonary veins run behind the in the superior vena cava, while the right inferior vein runs behind the right atrium. You have can appreciate here. So the right superior pulmonary veins run behind the superior vena cava, and the right inferior will be going behind the right atrium. Okay. All the four pulmonary veins pierce the posterior superior aspect of the pericardium to end in the left atrium. If you have seen, you can appreciate the left atrium by the four openings of the four pulmonary veins. They open separately into the left atrium. So you can appreciate better when you open the left atrium, you can see the four openings of the four pulmonary veins. Okay. So that is how you can easily identify the left atrium by the opening of the four pulmonary veins. They form part of the boundaries of the oblique sinus of the pericardium. You might have seen when you have studied the pericardium, you might have seen the oblique sinus. So this will form the posterior boundary for the oblique sinus. Now coming to the pulmonary trunk. Pulmonary trunk or pulmonary artery. Okay, pulmonary artery is called as the pulmonary trunk because it is a very short artery. Okay, as soon as if you see here, this is the pulmonary artery. Even though it is artery, it is shown in blue. This is the only artery in the body which will be carrying deoxygenated blood in the adults. Okay, so this is the only artery. Even though it is called as artery, it is carrying the venous blood here. Okay, so the blood which is coming from the superior and inferior vena cava goes into the right atrium. From there it is pushed into the right ventricle, and now the right ventricle will push the blood into the pulmonary trunk. Okay, and through that into the pulmonary arteries. Okay, so pulmonary artery, right and left pulmonary artery. Okay, so this is called as pulmonary trunk because it is very short artery here. Okay, so the pulmonary trunk will divide into two arteries. So there are only two pulmonary arteries, but there are four pulmonary veins, two from the right side, two from the left side. But there are only two pulmonary arteries. Pulmonary arteries which will be carrying the deoxygenated blood. So, okay, where was it? Okay, so pulmonary trunk. Okay, so here you can see the same pulmonary trunk here. Here will be the heart. It has been removed so that you can better appreciate the pulmonary trunk and its two branches, the right and the left pulmonary artery. So pulmonary trunk, it is a short, wide arterial trunk. So it is short and wide, so that way it is called as trunk, which conveys deoxygenated blood. Even though it is an artery, it carries the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lung. So it will be pumping the blood to the lungs for oxygenation. It is just 5 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. So it is 5 centimeters long, and the width is much greater here, so almost 3 centimeters wide. It lies behind the sternal end of the second left intercostal space. So that is, if you go back to this picture, so here it will be behind the left second now. Okay, so because it is going toward the left side, so it will be behind the left second costal cartilage or the space. Okay, the whole length of the pulmonary trunk runs within the fibrous pericardium. Okay, so this whole pericardium, the whole of the pulmonary trunk, it is covered by the fibrous pericardium, which is covering the heart. Not only covers the heart, but also a part of the superior vena cava, pulmonary trunk, as well as this is the aorta here. It also covers a part of the aorta. Okay, so it encloses, because this artery is very short, so it encloses the whole of the pulmonary trunks within the fibrous pericardium. The pulmonary trunk and the ascending aorta enclosed together by a common tubular sheath of the serous pericardium. As I said, both the pulmonary trunk as well as ascending aorta here will be covered by the fibrous pericardium. Clinically, embolism of the pulmonary trunk by a blood clot is a common cause of this sudden death. Usually, the embolism takes place and blocks mainly the pulmonary trunk, because pulmonary trunk is a larger artery, but then it branches into two smaller arteries. So usually there will be pulmonary embolism here, and it blocks this artery, pulmonary trunk, and that leads to sudden death, cardiac arrest, as well as the sudden death of the patient. So this is about the pulmonary artery and its two branches. Those are called as the right and left pulmonary artery, which will go to the lungs and supply the lung, the deoxygenated blood to the lung so that it can be oxygenated. And then the oxygenated blood, as we have seen, will return back to the heart through the pulmonary veins, four pulmonary veins opening into the left atrium. Now coming to the aorta, once the blood, oxygenated blood comes back into the into the left atrium, it will be pushed into the left ventricle. From there, the blood will be pushed into the aorta. This is the oxygenated blood, which will be pushed into the aorta, and it will go give many branches, and it supplies the whole of the body. Okay, but we are talking about only that part of the aorta which is present in the thorax, because the aorta will enter the abdomen also. So it will be, there will be abdominal part of the aorta also, but we are covering that part of the aorta which is present only in the thoracic region. So the aorta is the largest artery, as you know, which is beginning from the left ventricle. So it is the largest artery in the body. It carries oxygenated blood from the heart to the whole of the body. So this is the main artery which will be supplying, giving multiple branches to all the parts of the body: head and neck, brain, upper limb, lower limb. So all the branches, whichever arteries are there, there might be direct or indirect branches from the aorta. So aorta is the only artery which is actually supplying the blood from the heart to the different parts of the body. So it is a long, wide artery which arises from the left ventricle. As I said, the left ventricle is pushing the blood into the aorta, and from there to all the parts of the body. So it begins from the left ventricle and runs first in the thoracic, then in the abdominal cavity. As we can see here, this whole part is in the thoracic region, and here is the diaphragm. So then it enters the diaphragm, pierces the diaphragm, and goes into the abdomen. So this is the abdominal part of the aorta, abdominal aorta. So this is the thoracic aorta. The thoracic part is divided into three parts again: into ascending aorta, which is present in the middle mediastinum, then arch of the aorta, which is present in the superior mediastinum, and descending aorta, which is in the posterior mediastinum. Now you know what is the middle mediastinum, superior mediastinum, and the posterior mediastinum. Okay, so this ascending aorta will be present within the middle mediastinum, along with the heart as well as the fibrous pericardium, because even the ascending aorta is covered by the fibrous pericardium. It will be present within the middle mediastinum. Once it arches, then it enters into the superior mediastinum. Then it descends back, but it will go behind the heart. So it will be present in the posterior mediastinum. Okay. So it ends at the aortic opening of the diaphragm opposite T12 level, where the descending aorta becomes the abdominal aorta. If you see here, now it is piercing the diaphragm and entering the abdomen. So this is at the level of T12. Okay. So we have seen that the inferior vena cava pierces the diaphragm at T8 level and enters the thorax. Now you are seeing the aorta piercing the diaphragm and entering into the abdomen at the T12 level. So that is, it can be remembered by a synonymous called as VOA, Voice of America, VOA. V stands for inferior vena cava or the vein, which is the inferior vena cava. O stands for esophagus, okay, and A stands for aorta. So VOA, so it is T8, T10, T12. So the inferior vena cava pierces the diaphragm at T8 level, esophagus at T10 level, and the aorta will pierce the diaphragm at the T12 level. So it can be remembered as such. VOA, Voice of America. V stands for inferior vena cava, O for esophagus, and A for the aorta. So aorta pierces the diaphragm at the level of T12, and inferior vena cava pierces the diaphragm at the level of T8. Now coming to the ascending aorta. The first part of the aorta from the beginning of the left ventricle will be this part. This is called as the ascending thoracic aorta. So ascending aorta or the ascending thoracic aorta, because there is only ascending aorta is only present in the thoracic region. So it can be more clearer. So ascending aorta. So it is short, wide artery, 5 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. Just like that of the pulmonary trunk, this is of the same size. So pulmonary trunk and the ascending aorta are of the same size, 5 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide, same as that of the pulmonary trunk. Its whole length lies inside the fibrous pericardium. Just like the pulmonary trunk, this is also covered by the fibrous pericardium. Within the, so because it is covered by fibrous pericardium, it is present within the middle mediastinum. Then it lies behind the upper part of the body of the sternum, extending from the third left intercostal space to the second right intercostal space junction, which is the surface anatomy. If you, this is the ascending aorta, here is the arch of aorta. So it begins from the second intercostal space on the left side, or the second costal cartilage. It actually begins from the third and ends at the second. So as you can see here, it begins from the third because it is below, and then it ascends upward because this is the ascending aorta, it is going up. So it ends at the second right costal cartilage. Okay. So it begins from the left side and goes toward the right side, because as you can see here, the aorta will be oblique. It begins from the left side and goes toward the right side near the superior vena cava. So even though if you see here, so it beginning from the third left intercostal space and ends at the second right intercostal space. Okay, because it is obliquely placed. As you can see here, it is obliquely placed like this. Okay, so this is how you can mark it on the surface. This is called as surface anatomy. Okay, now coming to the origin, course, and termination of this ascending aorta. As we said before, it begins at the aortic orifice of the left ventricle. So it begins from the left ventricle in an opening called as the aortic orifice. Orifice means opening. So wherever there is an opening from the left ventricle into the aorta, that opening is called as the aortic orifice. Okay, of the left ventricle behind the border of the sternum, opposite the third left intercostal space. As we saw, its beginning is from the third left intercostal space. It runs obliquely upwards, forwards, and to the right, surrounding together with the pulmonary trunk by a tubular sheath of the fibrous pericardium. As we can see here, so it is going towards from the left side to the right side, along with a covering of the fibrous pericardium, which is covering not only the aorta but also the pulmonary trunk. It ends behind the second right costal, the sternocostal junction, by becoming arch of the aorta. So it ends and begins now as the continues as the arch of the aorta. So here will be the end of the ascending aorta and the beginning of the arch of the aorta. Okay. So here the branches coming from the ascending aorta, there are no branches except a very important arteries coming from here. These are called as coronary arteries. Coronary arteries are those arteries which are supplying the heart, the right and the left coronary artery. So these are the only two arteries beginning from the ascending aorta. There are no other branches coming from the ascending aorta except these very important arteries which are supplying the heart itself, because even the heart wall needs, just like any part of the body, that also needs oxygen. So this is supplied by the coronary arteries. Okay, so there are two arteries, right and the left coronary artery. Now coming to the arch of the aorta. So here is the arch of the aorta which is arching. So it begins from where the ascending aorta ends. Okay, so it begins from the that part where the ascending aorta ends, that is the second right sternocostal junction, as continuation of the ascending aorta. It passes upwards, backwards, and to the left in front of the trachea. So if you see here, it will ascend upwards. It's not only going towards the left, it is also going behind, posterior. Okay, backwards, upwards, as well as backwards to the left. So it is present right now in the right. So now it is going towards the left as well as going towards the back side. Okay. So it is going upwards, backwards, and to the left in front of the trachea. If you see here, next pictures I will show you where there is a trachea here. So if you see here, this is the trachea. So this aorta, this is the arch of aorta. It is going not only upwards as well as backwards and towards the left of the this trachea. Okay, so it is passes first upwards, backwards, and to the left in front of the trachea. So in the front of the trachea, as you can see in this picture, so it is in front of the trachea. Then backwards and downwards and on the left side of the trachea. First it will be in the front of the trachea, then it goes behind and backwards and towards the left of the trachea and start descending. Okay, it ends on the left side of the disc between the T4 and T5 level by becoming the descending thoracic aorta. So now the arch will begin, ascend, then descend, and ends there. Then it continues as the descending aorta. So here is the arch. Okay, once it ends, it continues as the descending thoracic aorta. Okay. So it ends on the left side of the disc between at the level of T4 and T5 by becoming the descending thoracic aorta. What are the branches coming from the arch of aorta? Very important branches. Three important branches are coming from the arch of aorta. If you see here, there are three important branches. Which are those? One is called as the brachiocephalic artery, very important artery. Brachiocephalic artery. Then we have the left common carotid as well as the left subclavian. Subclavian artery will be the artery of the upper limb. So it continues as the axillary artery. Subclavian artery will continue as the axillary artery. So it is the artery of the upper limb. The left common carotid will be going upwards and it will be the main artery supplying the head and neck as well as the brain. So what about the right side? This is the brachiocephalic artery, which divides as soon as it begins. It divides into two arteries. One is the right subclavian and the right common carotid. Same like this of this left common carotid and left subclavian. Here it is from the brachiocephalic artery, which are the right subclavian as well as the right common carotid artery. So there are three arteries which are coming from the arch of the aorta. One is the brachiocephalic artery, the left common carotid, as well as the left subclavian artery. These are the three branches, very important branches, because they will be supplying all the parts of the upper limb as well as head and neck as well as the very important structure, that is the brain. Okay, so these three arteries are very important branches coming from the arch of aorta. Here is the arch of the aorta. Now coming to the descending aorta, descending Aorta is of two parts, a part which is present in the thoracic region and part is present in the abdomen. The part which is present in the thoracic region, that is called as the descending thoracic aorta. The part which is present in the abdomen, that will be called as the abdominal aorta. Okay, so now we'll cover only the descending thoracic aorta because we are studying the structures which are present in the only in the thoracic region, the major arteries and veins which are present in the thoracic region. So we'll talk about only the descending thoracic aorta, which is descending thoracic aorta. So descending thoracic aorta descends in the posterior mediastinum. As we have seen, it's going behind. Now, if you see here, this is the descending thoracic aorta. So because the heart will be in the front and this is going behind, so it will present in the posterior mediastinum along with the that of the esophagus. If you see here, this is the esophagus. Here is the trachea. Behind the trachea is the esophagus. So the same esophagus will continue down. And here's the descending thoracic aorta. Trachea ends here and it divides into the right and left the pulmonary trunk, the bronchopulmonary branches. Okay. So the descending thoracic aorta will be in the posterior mediastinum. It begins from the T4 level where the arch of aorta ends and continues up to the 12th thoracic vertebra, because at the 12th thoracic it will pierce the diaphragm. Here is the diaphragm and goes into the abdomen. So here is the diaphragm. So it will pierce at the T12 level. Till there, from the T4 up to the T12. So this will be the descending thoracic aorta. Okay, so it begins at T4 level and ends at the T12 level to pass below the diaphragm and becomes the abdominal aorta. Here is the abdominal aorta, which is supplying all the structures in the abdomen. That is the liver, spleen, all organs, kidneys, all the intestine, as well as the other structures in the pelvis also. Okay, so this is the thoracic aorta here, descending thoracic aorta beginning from the T12 level, T4 level and ends at the T12 level. So what are the branches given by this descending thoracic aorta? So there are some very important branches. There are lower 9 posterior intercostal arteries of both the sides. If you see here, so this is the descending thoracic aorta. It is giving some branches here. So these are called as the posterior intercostal arteries. Intercosta means intercosta. Inter means between, costa means rib. In between the costa, that is in between the ribs, the space is called as intercostal space. So within that there is intercostal muscles, intercostal arteries, veins, nerves, everything is there. So these arteries are called as the posterior intercostal because there are also the anterior intercostal. So the posterior intercostal, especially the lower nine posterior intercostal arteries on the both the sides, right and left side, okay, are coming from the descending thoracic aorta. So these are the 9 posterior intercostal arteries on both the sides. Then the subcostal artery, the T12 level, because below the 12th rib there is no intercostal space because there is no 13th space, so it should be in between. So that is called a subcostal. So that is the subcostal artery below the T12 level. Then there are branches going to the bronchial. So here are the right and the left bronchus. So there will be branches giving to the bronchus, okay, which are also from the descending thoracic aorta. Then the pericardial branches. There are branches which are supplying the pericardium. These are the coronary arteries which are supplying the heart. But even the pericardium needs blood supply. So these pericardial arteries are coming from the descending thoracic aorta, branches from the descending thoracic aorta, as well as the esophageal branches. If you see here, this is the esophagus. So there are branches which are supplying the esophagus also. So these are the branches supplying the esophagus. So there are the posterior intercostal arteries, lower 9, then the subcostal artery, then the bronchial arteries. You see here bronchial arteries, then there will be pericardial arteries. Heart has been removed here so that you can appreciate. If not, you can see the pericardial arteries. Then you can also see the esophagus and the artery supplying the esophagus. These are the esophageal branches. So these are some of the branches which are coming from the descending thoracic aorta. So this is all about this lecture, which is about the major blood vessels of the heart. That is the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, Then we talked about the two short arteries and veins, that is the pulmonary arteries as well as the pulmonary veins. Then we also discussed the aorta, the ascending aorta, the arch of aorta, as well as the descending thoracic aorta. So if you have any questions regarding this, you can ask me now. So is it clear? Do you have any questions? No questions? Okay. Okay. So please,
Thank you, doctor.
welcome. Please give your attendance. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.